The text message glowed on Dana's phone screen, like a neon sign in a dive bar window. "Can't wait to see you tonight. Greg misses you already." I stood there in my own kitchen, holding my wife's phone that she'd left charging on the counter, staring at words that made my coffee taste like battery acid. 22 years of marriage, and this is how I find out my world's been crumbling while I was busy fixing other people's air conditioners. My name's Caleb Morris, and I run Morris HVAC here in Millbrook, Ohio. It's not glamorous work, but it pays the bills and keeps me honest. Or at least it used to. Apparently, honesty's become a luxury my wife can't afford. The phone buzzed again. Another message from Greg. "Your husband still working late tonight?" I set the phone down carefully, like it might explode. My hands weren't shaking yet, but they would be soon. 22 years. Our son Ross was in his second year at Ohio State, finally making something of himself, and Dana decides now's the perfect time to torch everything we built. The front door opened, and Dana walked in carrying shopping bags from stores I'd never heard of. Designer stuff, expensive stuff, on an office coordinator's salary. "Hey, honey," she said, not looking at me. "How was your day?" "Educational," I replied, watching her face. She was glowing in that way women do when they're getting attention from someone new, someone who wasn't me. "Your phone's been buzzing." Her face went white faster than paint in January. She lunged for the phone, but I was already holding it out to her. "Greg seems eager," I said. Dana's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. The shopping bags hit the floor, spilling out silk scarves and jewelry that cost more than my monthly truck payment. "Caleb, I can explain." "I'm sure you can. You always were creative with words." I walked to the kitchen window and looked out at our neighbor Barb's house. Sure enough, there she was, pretending to water plants while watching our kitchen window. Question is, do I want to hear it? Dana started crying. Real tears, not the crocodile kind she used when she wanted me to fix something around the house on my day off. But I was past the point where her tears could reach me. "It's not what you think," she whispered. "Really? Because I think my wife of 22 years is sleeping with someone named Greg who can't spell 'your' correctly in his texts. Am I wrong?" The silence stretched between us like a canyon. Outside, Barb had moved on to aggressively trimming her petunias, still watching. "How long?" I asked. "Caleb?" "How long, Dana?" 6 months. Her voice was barely audible. 6 months. Half a year of lies, of coming home late from work events, of new clothes and sudden interest in the gym. Half a year of me being the idiot husband who believed his wife when she said she was working overtime. "Who is he?" "Greg Patterson. He's in sales at the office." Of course he was. Sales guys always think they can sell anything, including themselves to other men's wives. "Are you in love with him?" Dana's face crumpled. "I don't know, maybe." "Yes." At least she was being honest now. It was progress, I suppose. "Well," I said, setting my coffee mug in the sink with deliberate care, "that simplifies things." "What do you mean?" I turned to face her. Dana was 39 years old, still beautiful in that suburban mom way that made other husbands at PTA meetings give me envious looks. But looking at her now, all I could see was a stranger who'd been wearing my wife's face for 6 months. "I mean, you should probably call Greg and tell him he won't have to sneak around anymore." "Caleb, please. We can work through this. We can go to counseling." "No, Dana, we can't." The finality in my voice surprised even me. But some things, once broken, can't be fixed. I should know. I'm in the repair business. Dana's sister Michelle arrived the next morning like a one-woman cavalry charge. She burst through our front door without knocking, her designer heels clicking on the hardwood like gunshots. "Caleb Morris, you should be ashamed of yourself," she announced, pointing a manicured finger at me like I was a misbehaving child. I was sitting at the kitchen table, drinking coffee and reading the paper like it was any other Saturday morning, like my life hadn't imploded 12 hours earlier. Morning, Michelle? Coffee? Don't you dare act casual with me. She was wearing an outfit that probably cost more than most people's rent, her blonde hair styled in that aggressive soccer mom cut that screamed, "I want to speak to your manager." Dana told me everything. Did she now? Everything? Michelle's face flushed red. She told me you threw her out of the house last night. I looked over at Dana, who was hovering in the doorway like she was afraid to come into her own kitchen. Is that what happened, honey? Dana wouldn't meet my eyes. You said I should go to Greg's. I suggested it. You chose to go. There's a difference. Semantics, Michelle snapped. You're being cruel and vindictive. I'm being practical. She's in love with another man. Seems logical she'd want to spend time with him. Michelle slammed her purse down on the counter. Marriage is about forgiveness, Caleb. It's about working through problems together. You're right, I said, folding my newspaper. Marriage is about a lot of things. Loyalty, trust, not sleeping with your coworkers. People make mistakes. 6 months isn't a mistake, Michelle. 6 months is a choice, a series of choices. Dana finally spoke up. I want to come home, Caleb. I want to fix this. Why? The question hung in the air like smoke. Dana opened and closed her mouth several times before Michelle jumped in. Because she loves you, you idiot. No, I said, standing up. She loves the idea of not being the bad guy. She loves the idea of keeping the house and the respectability and the comfortable life while still getting her excitement on the side. That's not true, Dana whispered. Isn't it? Because from where I'm standing, you had 6 months to choose. Every day for 6 months, you woke up and chose Greg over me. The only reason you want to fix this now is because you got caught. Michelle stepped between us. You're being unreasonable. Dana made a mistake, but she's trying to make it right. By lying about what happened last night? By sending her sister to fight her battles? I'm here because family takes care of family. Funny. I thought I was family too. Michelle's laugh was sharp and bitter. Please, you've never been good enough for Dana, and we all knew it. There it was. 22 years of polite family dinners and birthday parties, and Michelle finally said what she'd been thinking all along. Michelle, Dana said sharply. No, it's fine, I said. I appreciate the honesty. It's refreshing. Michelle warmed to her theme. Dana could have married anyone. She was beautiful, smart, popular. She could have had a doctor, a lawyer, someone with real prospects. Instead, she settled for a blue-collar nobody who fixes air conditioners. And yet here I am, still fixing things while your sister breaks them. You're bitter because you know she's too good for you. You always have been. I looked at Dana. Is that how you feel? Dana's silence was answer enough. Well, I said, picking up my coffee mug, at least now I know where we stand. I walked toward the door, but Michelle wasn't done. You can't just walk away from this, Caleb. Dana has rights. She has a claim to this house, to your business, to everything you've built together. I turned back to face her. You're absolutely right. She does have rights. Legal rights. But here's the thing about rights, Michelle. They work both ways. What's that supposed to mean? It means I have rights too. The right to tell everyone in this town exactly what kind of woman your sister is. The right to make sure Greg Patterson's wife knows what her husband's been up to. The right to let Dana's employer know their office coordinator has been using company time to coordinate her affair. Michelle's face went pale. You wouldn't. Try me. Caleb, Dana said, her voice shaking. Please don't do this. Think about Ross. Think about our family. I am thinking about family. I'm thinking about how you threw ours away for 6 months of excitement with a married salesman. Greg's divorced, Dana said quietly. Since when? 3 months ago. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. So that's the timeline. You helped break up his marriage, then decided to break up ours. Very efficient. Michelle stepped forward again. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. Maybe if someone had been honest with me 6 months ago, we wouldn't be here. I headed for the door again. Where are you going? Dana called after me. To work. Some of us still believe in showing up when we're supposed to. By Monday morning, the whole town knew. That's the thing about small towns. Secrets have a half-life of about 12 hours. Barb had done her job as neighborhood information hub, and the story had spread through Millbrook like a gas leak. I was under the hood of Mrs. Peterson's Buick when my phone started buzzing. Text after text from people I'd known for years. Sorry to hear about Dana, man. Tom Bradley, who ran the hardware store. Hang in there, brother. Father Mackenzie from St. Mary's, where Dana and I had been married. You're better off without her. Sue Ellen from the diner, never one to mince words. But it was the call from my best friend Jake that really got to me. Caleb? Jesus, man, I just heard. Are you okay? Jake and I had been friends since high school. He was my best man. I was his. Our kids had grown up together. Our wives had been close. Or so I thought. I'm fine, Jake. Working. Listen, can we talk? Maybe grab a beer tonight? Sure. Murphy's at 7? Actually, could we make it somewhere else? Maybe that place out on Route 9? That stopped me cold. Murphy's had been our regular spot for 20 years. Why? Jake was quiet for a long moment. Look, this is awkward, but Karen's been friends with Dana for a long time. She's having a hard time with all this. Having a hard time with what, exactly? With taking sides. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Sides? You know how it is, man. The women stick together. Karen thinks maybe there's more to the story than what people are saying. What people are saying is that my wife was cheating on me for 6 months. What more to the story could there be? I don't know. Karen just thinks maybe Dana had her reasons. I closed my eyes and counted to 10. Her reasons. Look, I'm not saying I agree with Karen. I'm just saying the wives are complicated about this stuff. Jake, let me ask you something. If Karen was sleeping with another man for 6 months, would you want your friends to be complicated about it? That's different. How? Karen would never. Dana would never either, until she did. Jake sighed. This is exactly why Karen didn't want me to call. Karen didn't want you to call your best friend because his wife was cheating on him? She didn't want me to call because she knew you'd be like this. Like what? Angry, bitter, unreasonable. I laughed, but it came out harsh. Unreasonable. Right. Caleb, come on. You know I'm on your side, but maybe you should think about what you might have done to push Dana away. And there it was, the knife twist I should have seen coming. What I might have done? I'm just saying, marriages don't fall apart in a vacuum. Maybe if you'd paid more attention to her, been more romantic, been more... More what, Jake? More like Greg Patterson? I don't know who that is. He's the guy she was sleeping with. Married guy from her office. But according to you, it's my fault she chose to destroy our marriage instead of talking to me about whatever problems she thought we had. I'm not saying it's your fault. Yes, you are. You're saying if I'd been a better husband, she wouldn't have cheated. You're saying I drove her to it. Caleb, tell me something, Jake. Did Karen know? Silence. Did your wife know my wife was having an affair? I don't know. Maybe. Women talk. Women talk, and men stay loyal to their friends, unless their wives tell them not to. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been someone telling me my wife was cheating. Fair would have been my best friend having my back instead of making excuses for the woman who betrayed me. I am having your back. No, Jake, you're having Karen's back. There's a difference. I hung up and stared at the phone for a long moment. 25 years of friendship, and it had taken exactly one conversation to reveal how little it meant when push came to shove. The phone rang again. Jake calling back. I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again. a number I didn't recognize. Morris HVAC. Is this Caleb Morris? Speaking. This is Greg Patterson. I felt my grip tighten on the phone. Well, the man of the hour. Look, I think we should talk. Do you now? This situation has gotten out of hand. Dana's upset. People are talking because there's something to talk about, Greg. I understand you're angry. Do you? Do you understand that you helped my wife destroy a 22-year marriage? Do you understand that you're a home-wrecking piece of garbage who couldn't find a single woman to sleep with? Hey, now. No. Now. You called me, remember? What did you want to talk about? Greg cleared his throat. I wanted to see if we could handle this like adults. Adults? Adults don't sleep with other people's wives, Greg. Dana told me your marriage was already over. She said you two had been separated for months. She said what? She said you were living like roommates, that you'd both agreed the marriage was done. When did she tell you this? When we started seeing each other. 6 months ago. Yeah. Greg, 6 months ago, Dana and I went to Cancun for our anniversary. We renewed our vows on the beach. I've got the photos if you'd like to see them. Silence. She lied to you, Greg. Just like she lied to me. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I love her. You love a woman who lied to both of us for 6 months. Good luck with that. I hung up and sat in my truck for a long time, watching the traffic go by on Main Street. People I'd known my whole life, living their lives, going about their business while mine fell apart. My phone buzzed with a text from Jake. I'm sorry, man. Karen and I want to help. I deleted it without responding. The intervention came on a Thursday night. I was in my garage, working on a vintage Camaro I'd been restoring for the past 3 years, when they showed up. Jake, his wife Karen, our mutual friends Rick and Cindy, and Tom Bradley from the hardware store. They stood in my driveway like a delegation, Karen holding a casserole dish like it was a peace offering. Caleb, Jake said, we need to talk. I wiped my hands on a rag and looked at them. 5 people I'd considered family, standing there with expressions that ranged from pity to barely concealed annoyance. About what? Karen stepped forward. About how you're handling this situation with Dana. How I'm handling it. People are talking, Cindy said. The whole town's taking sides. I didn't realize there were sides to take when someone cheats on their spouse. Rick cleared his throat. Look, man, we all know Dana screwed up, but you're making it worse. How am I making it worse? By being vindictive, Karen said, by trying to destroy her reputation. I laughed. I'm not trying to destroy anything. I'm just not covering for her anymore. You told everyone at Murphy's about the affair, Tom said. You made a public spectacle of it. I answered questions when people asked. Was I supposed to lie? You were supposed to handle it privately, Karen snapped. Like an adult. The way Dana handled our marriage privately, the way she handled her affair like an adult. 2 wrongs don't make a right, Cindy said. What's the second wrong exactly? Telling the truth? Jake stepped forward. Caleb, we're worried about you. You're angry and you're lashing out. I'm angry. Yeah, I'm angry. My wife of 22 years was sleeping with another man for 6 months. My best friends knew about it and said nothing. My social circle is now treating me like I'm the villain because I won't pretend it didn't happen. So yes, Jake, I'm angry. We didn't know, Karen said quickly. Bullshit. Caleb! Dana doesn't do anything without talking to you first, Karen. You two have been joined at the hip since college. You expect me to believe she was having an affair for 6 months and never mentioned it? Karen's face flushed. Even if I suspected something, it wasn't my place to say anything. It wasn't your place to tell your husband's best friend that his wife was cheating on him? It wasn't my business. But my reaction to finding out is your business. When it affects the whole community, yes. I stared at her. The whole community. Dana's a good person who made a mistake, Cindy said. She doesn't deserve to be crucified for it. A mistake? 6 months of lying, sneaking around, and sleeping with another man is a mistake? People fall out of love, Karen said. It happens. But there are ways to handle these things with dignity. Dignity. Right. Was it dignified when she told Greg Patterson that we were already separated? Was it dignified when she used our joint credit card to buy lingerie for her boyfriend? Was it dignified when she lied to my face every day for half a year? She's trying to make things right, Rick said. By doing what? She moved in with Greg 3 days after I found out about the affair. She's not trying to make things right. She's trying to manage her image. Tom shifted uncomfortably. Look, Caleb, we all understand you're hurt. Do you? Do you really? Because it seems like what you understand is that having a messy divorce in your friend group is inconvenient. It's awkward at parties. It makes you choose sides. That's not, Jake started. It is exactly that. You want me to shut up and go away quietly so you can all go back to pretending we're one big happy family. Well, guess what? The family's broken. Dana broke it. And I'm not going to pretend otherwise to make your lives easier. Karen stepped forward, her face hard. You're being selfish. Selfish? Yes. You're so focused on your own hurt that you can't see how this is affecting everyone else. Everyone else? Your son, for one. Ross called me yesterday. He's devastated. He doesn't understand why his parents can't work things out like adults. That hit me like a punch to the gut. What did you tell him? I told him his father was too proud and too angry to forgive. The garage went silent. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. You told my son that this was my fault? I told him the truth. The truth? The truth is that his mother destroyed our marriage. The truth is that she chose another man over her family. The truth is that she lied to all of us for 6 months. That's the truth, Karen. The truth is that marriages take work, and sometimes people make mistakes, and real men find a way to forgive. Real men? Yes. I looked around the group. Jake wouldn't meet my eyes. Rick was staring at his shoes. Cindy was nodding along with Karen like she was making perfect sense. Let me ask you something, Karen. If Jake was sleeping with another woman for 6 months, would you take him back? That's different. How? Jake would never, neither would Dana, until she did. So answer the question. If Jake betrayed you the way Dana betrayed me, would you forgive him? Karen's mouth opened and closed. That's not the point. It's exactly the point. You're asking me to do something you wouldn't do yourself. We should go, Rick said quietly. Yeah, I said. You should. They started to leave, but Jake turned back. Caleb, we've been friends for 25 years. Have we? Don't do this. Don't throw away all our friendships because of Dana. I'm not throwing away anything, Jake. You are. You all are. You're choosing her over me, and you're trying to make me feel guilty about it. We're not choosing anyone. Yes, you are. You're choosing the version of this story that makes you comfortable. The version where I'm the bad guy for being angry instead of grateful. The version where Dana's the victim of her own choices. Jake shook his head. I'll call you in a few days, when you've cooled off. Don't bother. They left, and I stood alone in my garage, surrounded by tools and car parts and the remnants of a life that had made sense a week ago. I picked up my phone and called Ross. Dad? Hey, son, I hear you've been talking to Karen. Dad, what's happening? Mom says you won't even talk to her. Your mother and I are getting divorced, Ross. But why can't you work it out? People have problems all the time. Ross, your mother was having an affair. For 6 months. She was sleeping with another man. Silence. Son? I know, he said quietly. You know? Mom told me. But she said it was because you two weren't happy. She said you'd grown apart. Did she tell you she moved in with him? She said she needed space to think. She's living with her boyfriend, Ross. She chose him over our family. Dad, please, can't you forgive her? I closed my eyes. Some things can't be forgiven, son. Some things break you so completely that there's no going back. But she's my mom. And she always will be. This is between your mother and me. It doesn't change how much we both love you. Everything's falling apart. I know. I'm sorry. Are you really not going to try to work it out? Ross, would you want me to stay married to someone who betrayed me? Would you want me to pretend everything was okay when it's not? He was quiet for a long time. No, I guess not. I love you, son. I love you too, Dad. After I hung up, I sat in the silence of my garage and realized that I was truly alone now. My wife was gone, my friends had chosen sides, and even my son was questioning my choices. But for the first time in a week, I felt something besides hurt and anger. I felt free. The plan came to me on a Friday morning while I was installing a new HVAC system at the Millbrook Community Center. I was up in the crawl space, running ductwork, when I heard voices below. I just feel so bad for Dana, someone was saying. Caleb's being absolutely vicious about the whole thing. Well, what did she expect? Another voice replied. You can't cheat on someone for 6 months and expect them to be reasonable about it. Still, the way he's handling it is just cruel. Making her move out, freezing the bank accounts, telling everyone in town about the affair. Maybe if she'd thought about consequences before she started sleeping around. That's not fair. Marriage is complicated. We don't know what was going on behind closed doors. I recognized the voices now. Margaret Henley and Susan Walsh, two of the biggest gossips in town. They were setting up for some community event, and they had no idea I was 20 feet above their heads, listening to every word. I heard he's trying to take everything in the divorce, Margaret said. The house, the business, everything. Can he do that? If he can prove adultery, probably. Ohio's not a no-fault state. Poor Dana. She made one mistake, and now her whole life is ruined. One mistake. 6 months of lying and cheating, and they were calling it one mistake. That's when it hit me. Everyone in town was talking about Dana and me, but they were only getting half the story. Dana's half. The version where she was the victim of a cold, unforgiving husband who couldn't overlook a simple indiscretion. Time to give them the other half. I finished the installation and drove straight to the Millbrook Gazette office. Sally Henderson had been running the local paper for 15 years, and she had a nose for stories that would get people talking. Caleb Morris, she said when I walked in. I was wondering when I'd see you. Sally. I suppose you're here about the rumors. What rumors? She smiled. Honey, this is a small town. When someone like you and Dana split up, people talk. Question is, do you want to tell your side of the story? That depends. You interested in the truth or just gossip? I'm interested in whatever sells papers. Truth is usually good for that. I sat down across from her desk. What have you heard? I've heard your wife left you for another man. I've heard you're being vindictive about the divorce. I've heard your friends think you should be more forgiving. What haven't you heard? Your side. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots I'd taken of Dana's text messages with Greg. Her eyes widened as she scrolled through them. Jesus, Caleb. These are explicit. They're honest. That's more than I can say for anything else about this situation. You want me to publish these? I want you to publish the truth. Dana Morris wasn't some lonely housewife who made a mistake. She was a woman who chose to have an affair, who lied to her husband and her lover about it, and who's now trying to rewrite history to make herself look like the victim. Sally leaned back in her chair. This would destroy her reputation. Her reputation should be destroyed. She destroyed mine. What about your son? This would be humiliating for him. My son already knows his mother had an affair. What he doesn't know is that half the town thinks it's my fault for not being understanding enough. Sally studied the phone screen again. Some of these messages mention other people. Dana's sister, some of her coworkers. What about them? Well, this one here. Dana's talking about how Michelle thinks you're beneath her anyway. And this one about how her friend Sharon at work said you had it coming. I read over her shoulder. I'd seen the messages before, but I hadn't really focused on those parts. The parts where Dana and Greg had laughed about me, where they'd discussed how Dana's family and friends had never thought I was good enough for her. Yeah, I said. I saw those. Caleb, if I publish this story, it's not just going to hurt Dana. It's going to hurt everyone who took her side, everyone who said you were being unreasonable. Good. Sally looked at me for a long moment. You sure about this? Once it's in print, you can't take it back. I'm sure. All right then. Give me until Monday. I'll need to verify some details, maybe get a comment from Dana and Greg. They'll deny everything. They can try, but it's hard to deny text messages. I left the newspaper office and drove home to my empty house. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I was taking control of my life instead of just reacting to what other people had done to me. The article came out on Monday morning. By Monday afternoon, my phone was ringing nonstop. Caleb, what the hell did you do? It was Jake, and he sounded furious. I told the truth. You humiliated her. You humiliated all of us. How did I humiliate you? That article makes it sound like we all knew about the affair and covered for her. Didn't you? It wasn't like that. What was it like, Jake? We were trying to protect everyone. We thought if we stayed out of it, maybe you two could work things out. By everyone, you mean Dana. We were trying to protect you too. By letting me live a lie? By making me think I was crazy for being angry? Jake was quiet for a moment. The whole town's talking about this article. People are saying you're vindictive and cruel. What people? Karen, for one. She's furious. Karen's furious because the article quotes Dana calling her a fake friend who's jealous of anyone prettier than her. Dana was angry when she wrote that. People say things they don't mean when they're upset. Do they? Because she seemed to mean it when she was sleeping with Greg for 6 months. Caleb. Jake, let me ask you something. After reading that article, do you still think I should forgive Dana and take her back? Silence. Do you still think this is all my fault for not being understanding enough? No, he said quietly. Then maybe you understand why I did it. I hung up and poured myself a beer. Outside, I could see Barb in her yard, talking animatedly to someone on her phone, probably discussing the article. By tomorrow, everyone in 3 counties would know the real story of Dana Morris and her affair. My phone rang again. Dana. Caleb, how could you do this to me? The same way you did what you did to me. I made a choice. This is different. This is public humiliation. So was finding out my wife was cheating from a text message on her phone. I never meant for you to find out that way. How did you mean for me to find out? Were you planning to tell me, or were you just going to keep lying until I figured it out myself? I don't know. I was confused. You were confused for 6 months? Caleb, please. That article makes me look like a monster. You are a monster, Dana. You destroyed our marriage, turned our friends against me, and now you're mad because people know the truth about what you did. I made a mistake. Stop calling it a mistake. Mistakes are accidents. You made choices. Every day for 6 months, you chose Greg over me. You chose lies over truth. You chose your own happiness over our family. What do you want from me? Nothing. I don't want anything from you anymore. The divorce papers say you're asking for everything. The house, the business, even my car. Ohio law says adultery affects property division. You want to keep something? You should have thought about that before you started sleeping with Greg. This isn't fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? I know I hurt you. You didn't hurt me, Dana. You destroyed me. You took 22 years of my life and threw it away like garbage. You made me look like a fool in front of everyone I know. You turned my own friends against me. And now you want to talk about fair? I'm sorry. No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry people know what you really are, but you're not sorry you did it. That's not true. Prove it. How? Tell Greg you're not going to see him anymore. Move out of his apartment. Show me that you're actually sorry for what you did instead of just sorry about the consequences. Silence. That's what I thought. Caleb. Goodbye, Dana. I hung up and turned off my phone. Tomorrow, the lawyers would start fighting over the details. But tonight, for the first time in months, I felt like I'd won something. The town meeting was scheduled for Thursday night at 7. It was supposed to be about the new traffic light on Main Street, but everyone knew what it was really about. Me, Dana, the article, the mess that had consumed Millbrook for the past 2 weeks. I almost didn't go. What was the point? I'd said what I had to say in the newspaper, but something made me change my mind. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was stubbornness. Maybe I just wanted to look these people in the eye one more time. The community center was packed. I walked in 5 minutes late and found a seat in the back, ignoring the stares and whispers that followed me down the aisle. Mayor Davidson was at the podium, talking about traffic patterns, but everyone was looking at me. Dana was there, sitting in the third row with Michelle and Greg. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. Greg kept checking his phone like he'd rather be anywhere else. Michelle was staring at me with naked hatred. Jake and Karen were on the other side of the room. Karen whispered something to Jake when she saw me, and he shook his head. They'd been avoiding me since the article came out. Before we discuss the traffic situation, Mayor Davidson said, I think we should address the elephant in the room. Here we go. We're a small community, the mayor continued. When our neighbors are hurting, we all feel it. When there's conflict between people we care about, it affects all of us. Margaret Henley stood up. I think we need to talk about what's been happening with the Morris family. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. This is a private matter, someone called out. It stopped being private when it ended up on the front page of the newspaper, Margaret replied. Mayor Davidson looked uncomfortable. I'm not sure this is the appropriate forum. When is the appropriate forum? Margaret demanded. When do we get to talk about how this situation is tearing our community apart? What situation? I asked, standing up. The situation where my wife had an affair, or the situation where I told people about it? The room went dead quiet. Caleb, Mayor Davidson said carefully, maybe this isn't the time. No, I think it is the time. Margaret wants to talk about what's tearing the community apart. Let's talk about it. I walked down the aisle toward the front of the room. People shifted in their seats, some leaning forward, others leaning away. For the past 2 weeks, I've been listening to people tell me how I should handle my divorce, how I should be more forgiving, how I should be more understanding, how I should think about the community. I stopped in front of the first row and turned to face the crowd. But nobody wants to talk about what my wife did. Nobody wants to talk about the 6 months of lies. Nobody wants to talk about how she made me look like a fool while she was sleeping with another man. Caleb, Dana said from her seat, please don't do this. Don't do what? Tell the truth? Isn't that what everyone's been asking for? The truth? I looked around the room. You want to know what's tearing this community apart? It's not my divorce. It's the fact that half of you knew what was happening and said nothing. Karen stood up. That's not fair. Isn't it? Karen, you knew Dana was having an affair. You admitted it. But instead of telling me, you decided to stay out of it. You decided it wasn't your business. It wasn't my business. But my reaction to finding out is your business? My anger is your business? My refusal to forgive and forget is your business? Karen's face was red. You're being vindictive. I'm being honest, something nobody else in this room seems capable of. Jake stood up. Caleb, that's enough. Is it? Because I'm just getting started. I turned to face Dana. Stand up. What? Stand up. You want to be part of this conversation? Stand up and face these people. Dana slowly got to her feet. She looked like she might throw up. Tell them, I said. Tell them what? Tell them how long you were planning to keep lying to me. Tell them how many times you looked me in the eye and lied about where you'd been. Tell them about the credit card bills for hotels and restaurants and lingerie that I paid for while you were cheating on me. Caleb, please. Tell them about the text messages where you and Greg laughed about what a fool I was. Tell them about how you told him our marriage was already over while we were planning our anniversary trip. Dana was crying now, but I wasn't done. Tell them about how you called me boring and predictable and beneath you. Tell them about how you said I deserved this because I was never good enough for you anyway. I was angry when I wrote those things. Were you angry for 6 months? Because that's how long you were saying them. Greg finally stood up. That's enough, man. You've made your point. I turned to face him. Have I? Because my point is that you're a home-wrecking piece of garbage who helped destroy a 22-year marriage. Have I made that point clearly enough? Hey, no, you want to be part of this? Let's talk about how you told me Dana said we were separated. Let's talk about how you believed that lie because it made it easier for you to sleep with another man's wife. Greg's face was bright red. You don't know what you're talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I know you're a coward who couldn't find a single woman to sleep with, so you had to steal someone else's wife. I know you're pathetic enough to believe obvious lies because the truth would have required you to have some integrity. That's enough, Michelle said, standing up. You've humiliated my sister enough. Have I? Because she humiliated me for 6 months. She humiliated our son. She humiliated our marriage. But I'm supposed to be quiet about it because it makes you uncomfortable? She made a mistake. Stop calling it a mistake. I was shouting now, and I didn't care. She made choices, hundreds of choices. Every lie was a choice. Every secret meeting was a choice. Every time she came home and pretended everything was normal was a choice. I looked around the room at all the faces staring back at me. Some looked angry, some looked uncomfortable, some looked sympathetic. You want to know what's tearing this community apart? It's the fact that when someone does something terrible, you all want to pretend it didn't happen. You want to smooth it over and move on and act like everything's fine. We want to heal, someone called out. You can't heal from something you won't acknowledge. You can't move on from something you won't face. I walked back toward Dana. You destroyed our marriage. You destroyed our family. You destroyed 22 years of my life. And now you want me to be quiet about it because it's embarrassing. I'm sorry, she whispered. No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry people know what you did. But you're not sorry you did it. Because if you were really sorry, you wouldn't be living with him. I pointed at Greg. You'd be fighting for our marriage instead of managing your reputation. I turned back to face the crowd. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to take everything I can in the divorce. The house, the business, everything. Because that's what happens when you commit adultery in Ohio. That's the consequence of the choices she made. Caleb, Mayor Davidson started. I'm not finished. I'm also going to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of people they are. Not because I'm vindictive, but because they are exactly the kind of people who would do this again to someone else if there weren't consequences. I started walking toward the exit. You want to heal? You want to move on? Start by admitting what actually happened instead of pretending it's all my fault for being angry about it. I reached the door and turned back one more time. And if any of you ever wonder why I couldn't just forgive and forget, ask yourselves this. If someone you trusted completely betrayed you for 6 months, lied to your face every day, and then tried to make you look like the villain for being hurt about it, what would you do? The room was silent. That's what I thought. I walked out into the night air and got in my truck. Through the windows of the community center, I could see people talking animatedly, gesturing, taking sides. Let them talk. I'd said what I came to say. For the first time in months, I felt like myself again. 6 months later, I was installing a new air conditioning system at the Hendersons' house when Sally from the newspaper stopped by. "Heard you're moving," she said. "News travels fast." "Small town. Where are you headed?" "Colorado. Got a job offer from a company in Denver. Fresh start." Sally nodded. "Probably for the best." "Probably. You know Dana and Greg broke up last month?" I kept working. "I heard. Apparently she caught him texting another woman, some secretary from his office. Shocking. She's been asking around about you, wondering if you'd be willing to talk." I looked at Sally. "What do you think?" "I think some people never learn." "I think you're right." I finished connecting the last ductwork and climbed down from the ladder. You know what the funny thing is? "What's that?" Everyone thought I was being vindictive, cruel, unreasonable. And it turns out I was just being realistic. Greg Patterson is exactly the kind of man who cheats on his wife, and Dana is exactly the kind of woman who helps him do it. The only difference is, now she knows what it feels like to be on the other side. Sally smiled. "Some might call that poetic justice." "Some might. Any regrets?" I thought about it for a moment. "Just one." "What's that?" "I regret wasting 22 years on someone who never deserved them." Sally left, and I finished packing up my tools. Tomorrow, I'd be in Colorado, starting over. New job, new town, new life. My phone buzzed with a text from Ross. "Proud of you, Dad. See you in Denver." I smiled and put the phone away. Some things were worth fighting for. Some things were worth walking away from. And sometimes the best revenge was just living well. I drove home through the streets of Millbrook one last time, past the houses where people I'd known my whole life were living their lives, making their choices, dealing with their consequences. At the traffic light on Main Street, the one we'd all argued about at that town meeting 6 months ago, I stopped and looked around. The hardware store where Tom Bradley had lectured me about forgiveness. Murphy's bar where Jake had chosen his wife's comfort over our friendship. The newspaper office where Sally had helped me tell my story. The light turned green, and I drove on. In my rearview mirror, I could see the community center where I'd finally stood up and told the truth about what had happened to me, where I'd refused to be quiet and polite and understanding about being betrayed.